All right, number 3. Our embezzler and disgraced traitor to the nation. What about his trajectory? Does it look like any of yours? It sort of looks like a flower. He's a native child of Istanbul, born into a minority of a minority, into the Roman Catholic Armenian community. When he was 10 years old, his parents sent him away from home to Rome to study. And he became a Roman Catholic priest at an early age. 27 years of the very best quality European education and study not only made him fluent in multiple languages and gave him a prodigious command of a great many fields of knowledge, that 27 years of the best European learning convinced him that there was nothing better in the world than to be Lusavorchagan. So he came back to Istanbul and asked for ordination in the Armenian church. And he was ordained a Vartavet in 1879. And he was sent off to serve as primate of the community in Erzurum for 7 years. Then he's called to Echmiadzin to teach in the Kevorkian Jemaran, where he met with great resistance on the part of the Brotherhood, who didn't think that a European education had anything to apply to an Armenian, and that reform of the seminary was unnecessary at best and unwise most likely. Ultimately, the situation resolved itself because the Russian government deported him for openly promoting Armenian independence. Once he was back in Ottoman imperial soil, he was assigned by the Patriarch to go and head the new seminary, or renewed seminary, that was starting up again at a place called Armash near Izmir, where he spent just barely 7 years, which, considering the length of the seminary program that he instituted there, was hardly enough time for him to see one class graduate from the full program, before he found himself called to Istanbul to be Patriarch in 1896. It was not a match made in heaven. Within weeks, not even months, very short honeymoon period, he earned the hatred of the Istanbul Armenian community and its activists for his failure to lead the community in its patriotic resistance to Ottoman oppression. His preference for dialogue, negotiation, and intelligent planning for the future when other people were demonstrating on the street did not fit at all with the heat that people were feeling in these times. How to get rid of him. Almost before he got there, they were already thinking of how to get rid of him. And so he was accused of embezzlement, then of treason against the Armenian people. He was tried publicly, and the bitterness of his trial caused him to have a stroke from which he never did completely recover. And after the debacle of his impeachment, he devoted his time to writing. Finally joined the Brotherhood of Jerusalem, expecting to find a little peace and quiet. It was a strange thought. In 1914, as chaos grew there, he found himself exiled to Damascus, this time deported not by the Russian government, but by the Ottoman, actually the Young Turk by that point, government. He was sent to Damascus, went back to Istanbul, died within the year, amid the devastation of the genocide. Painfully, many people still regarded him with distrust and suspicion. There were other deeply personal pains in store for him as well. Of his 36 best seminarians, the ones whom he loved like his sons and raised like tender crops, men who had gone on to lead at least 11 of the completely slaughtered communities with enormous heroism, personal sacrifice, and faith. 13 of them died in the massacres. His life work was in ruins. Yet it is Malachia Ormanian who brought real education to the whole Armenian religious world. Indirectly, through his students, the ones whom he trained and inspired, Ormanian saved the record of Armenian manuscripts from all across the Armenian populated areas through his student named Garakin Hosepian. He set up, through his students, the seminary in Antelias, which is still functioning today, through Papken Guleserian. He reformed the seminary in Jerusalem through Yereshe Turian. He created the discipline of Armenian church history, and in fact, even though he wrote it 100 years ago, no one has ever superseded his 3-volume history of the Armenian church. Last but not least, and this makes him a very dear person to myself as an individual, through his students, he is the founder of St. Nerses Seminary in New York, still the only seminary in the Western Hemisphere for reasons I do not fathom. All right. None of this could he have seen or foreseen. A person in disgrace, viewed with suspicion,